According to wildnightout.org, there's no better way to find your own adventure than by pitching a tent and falling asleep to the peaceful silence of night, which is only blemished by the encapsulating sound of wildlife waking up. Camping allows oneself, family, and friends to seek adventure, spend time together, and enjoy other life forms and the beauty around us. Camping is an experience that everybody can enjoy, and it does not require any expertise to begin planning a trip. Today I will be informing you how you yourself can plan a successful camping trip. So to begin with, the first part to planning a camping trip will be establishing a location to stay at. To do so, the first task is deciding if you're camping in a tent or in a camper. Personally, I use a camper. Benefits to using a camper include being able to overpack. So you can overpack food, clothes. It doesn't really matter how much you put in your camper, so you don't have to limit yourself, and you won't run out of anything if you really need it. Another benefit of using a camper is that you can pack cold foods and frozen foods like hamburgers, hot dogs, milk, lunch meat, and things like that, and you don't have to worry about storing those foods in a cooler. One last benefit of using a camper is that you can bring more clothing so that you can be prepared for unexpected weather. Now I'm going to move on to tents. Benefits of using a tent include being able to get the full camping experience, so you sleep under the stars, you can hear the wildlife, everything like that, and you don't feel isolated from nature because you're literally sleeping in it. Another benefit of choosing a tent over a camper is that you're able to have a closer bonding experience with those around you, and you aren't separated by any walls or anything like that. One last benefit of choosing a tent is that you don't have to pull a camper with a truck or a large SUV, because most people, they don't have those things, so they can just pack their car full of their supplies in their tent. Another important part of choosing a location is the desired weather and climate. You don't want to go to an area known for snow and hail if you only show up with t-shirts and shorts. The last part of choosing a location is deciding on a desired environment around your camping space. Typically, if you use a camper, you must go to a campground designed with small parking lots, lots of people, and man-made facilities like bathrooms, playgrounds, pools. If you want a more outdoorsy setting, it's better off to go with a tent because there's usually not any man-made facilities and there's nothing but the great outdoors. Once you have determined the location, the second part of planning a successful camping trip is to determine who or what will be going. If you're going with a small group of family or friends, you will most likely have to split the bill. So the more facilities like pools and playgrounds and things like that, the more expensive it's going to be. With additional people, you may want to go somewhere that isn't filled with many amenities like that. The second part of deciding who is going is determining the age group that you would like to satisfy. If there are children involved, you'll probably want to go somewhere that has activities to keep the children occupied and service for their technology so they don't get bored. And if you're going with an older age group, you want to choose a place that's more adult-oriented. The last step in determining who is going is to establish if you're bringing any pets. The majority of campgrounds allow a maximum of 2 dogs to come per family. If that number is exceeded, you will either have to pay a fine or leave the campground. Be aware that some campgrounds do not allow you to bring any pets at all. There are rules surrounding pets at every campground, so make sure to look into that before planning a trip there. I know that some places don't allow you to bring dogs or bigger breeds of dogs such as Rottweilers and Pit Bulls, so that's something to be aware of too. Finally, after you've decided who is going, you must prepare a checklist on the items you will bring with you. To determine what food and how much food to bring, make sure you know how long you're going to be at the destination. It's always better to bring more food than a smaller number because it's better to bring more food than necessary so you don't run out unexpectedly. Bring items that are easily prepared and cooked, and bring items that are non-perishable if you're camping in a tent. You will also need to put clothing on your checklist. A rule of thumb is to bring 2 extra pairs of clothes in case you decide to stay a bit longer at the trip. or if there's an emergency where you soil your last set of clothing. You should be prepared for any unexpected weather circumstances, and you should bring things like rain boots, a rain jacket, a hat, and sunglasses. Lastly, you should write down and prepare equipment that you might need. If you're going on a hike, be sure to use hiking boots, protective gear, and rope. If you go kayaking, make sure to bring a life vest and the paddles for your kayak. And if you're bringing children, bring bathing suits, floaties, and a life jacket for them as well. Umbrellas are also vital when packing for a camping trip because you never know when it's going to rain, especially if you're planning for a longer trip. In conclusion, in order to plan a successful camping trip, you must find an ideal location, figure out who is going, and prepare a checklist of necessities. When going camping, you must be prepared for the worst, but trust me, you will enjoy every moment of your trip. Overall, before you jump into the camping world, you must take it slow and plan your trip out carefully in order to produce the best experience for you, your family, and your friends.